Okay, so we're going to get started. I'll start with Kay. Question? No question?
No.
Question?
Not yet.
Okay. Question?
Recently I ran across a book in the library about the 1918 flu epidemic.
Uh-huh.
And I read a few chapters on it, but it was interesting that I'd never heard of it before. Everyone's heard about the Black Plague, and apparently this flu epidemic killed like 100,000 people. And all the time when I was reading it, I was always thinking, what is Aajonus? I wonder what Aajonus would say about it. So I was wondering what you know
I
about it.
wasn't alive at that time. No, I wasn't. I wasn't in the body at that time. I remember. I've only had 82 lives in eternity. And one of them was 6 billion years.
Oh, really? As a son? Wow.
That was wonderful because all the planets, as they go around, they make music. So it's like a constant chorus. And because they're always in a different position and never in the 6 billion years ever hit the same position, there was never the same tune, chord, phrase ever hit. It's the shortest life I've ever had.
Wow.
And it was 6 billion years. Incredible.
I think he's serious.
What I've read about the 1918 flu epidemic, the only records that I saw was a book written, and I referred to it, The Man's Correct Diet. It was written by a director of a health institute, and he said that the people went to allopathic doctors during that flu epidemic. 7 out of 10 died, and the people who went to an allopathic practitioner, herbologist or some other kind of homeopath, only 1 out of 20 died. And those people who didn't go to anybody, nobody died.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Wow.
And you have to understand that those epidemics only happened in cities. Chicago was one of the main. Pollution. If you've got a blacksmith or a silversmith on every corner, every block, and the heavy metals are airborne, and you breathe those in, it creates toxicity within the entire system. And that causes people like the Black Plague in Europe. You know, they had a blacksmith on every corner and a silversmith on every block. And what happened is, in England, you've got that layer of fog. So you've got a smog when the heavy metals stay airborne. You know, if you're in an environment like this, they have a tendency to fall. But if you're in like Chicago where there's more moisture, those heavy metals stay airborne. You inhale them, they cause severe damage. Just to give you an idea of some of the damage that has occurred, if you go to Calvary University in Canada, their website, you're going to order a DVD which shows what happens if you put a 2% solution of mercury into neuron development. Now, all neurons on any species, no matter if it's an insect or a human or a bird, no matter what it is, all neurons develop and grow the same way. So all of the brain develops the same way, and no matter what species you are. So you see all these neurons growing, and they've got this on. They've got it on a DVD, and you put a 2% solution of mercury, and all of a sudden you just see them just disappear, like that, just eats them away. And then they have another phase of that DVD where they show that a molecule of mercury will cause an entire cell or group of cells to lock to that one piece of mercury, and that's what causes neurons to disintegrate. And aluminum doesn't do that, and a lot of the other heavy metals don't do that. The heavy metals and the lighter metals don't do that, but mercury does it every time. And there's a lot of mercury in everything, everything that's in our environment. And if you ever use methylate or mercurochrome, those are liquid mercury antiseptics. you've ever had vaccines, you've had liquid mercury injected into you with almost every vaccine. And these store in the body, and if they get released into the blood or neurological system, they'll cause a deterioration of the nerves and the neurons in the brain. So that has a tendency to collect, and that's what causes your major diseases, because your farmers didn't get the flu, your farmers didn't get the Black Plague. It was only the concentrations of city people who got it, or the city people who were so poor that they were thrown out into, the farmlands, and some of those got it. And they say, well, it all happens at one time. And if I had given you some poison in the food and everybody ate it, within a few hours of all of you would be sick. Well, the same kind of contamination will happen progressively about the same time. The major incidence of your poisoning, the reaction from it, the detoxification of the body's attempt to detoxify it, will occur in a greater number of periods within the same time frame. Some people will be more contaminated sooner, some people later, but the majority will all get it about the same time. And that's what they call an epidemic when it's really a poison. And a lot of the epidemics in Hawaii and with the American Indians, they said, oh, there were viruses they couldn't handle. These Indians were wiping their butts without washing their hands, just like all these primitive tribes, eating raw meat without cleaning it, right out of the buffalo. They were walking through horse shit all the time, dealing with horses, and their tails fly all over and hit the flies and get, E. coli all over the place. To believe that these American Indians and the Hawaiians and all these indigenous tribes were dying because of some particular white man's disease is absolutely absurd. If you look at some of the proper documentation, like if you read, I forgot the author's name, but he wrote Savages, and he talked about how the German and British diamond mining companies, Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola, would hire Brazilians in bars, arm them with automatic weapons and poison, and go around and slaughter the natives. And if you put these particular poisons in their water hole, it looks like they got smallpox. A lot of your diseases will look like smallpox or measles. A lot of your poisons will look like that. So, of course, the thing is, oh, they got some kind of, some kind of bacterial infection and disease. No, they were poisoned. And that's the way it was done. That's the way you get rid of, like the Ebola. Ebola is man-made, and it is not contagious through mosquitoes. It's never, ever been proven. And if you look at the behavior of a mosquito, you'll see that only the female bites. She's got a proboscis that, if it were on me, would be about the length from here to here in my face. And she goes in, she digs down in, and she bites every cell in a pool in an area. So she creates a pool of blood. They do not cast saliva. So they eat all around, and if they were to get a piece of saliva or anything in there, it doesn't matter, because what does she do? She sucks up the whole pool of blood. Every bit of it. So if any her saliva got into that pool of blood, she's already sucked it up. It's gone. So they pull it out, and they don't even eat it. She doesn't eat it. She goes back to her larva, and the larvae feed off of the blood. So the fictitious myth that mosquitoes transport disease is absolutely ridiculous. It's another thing like you'll get parasites from eating raw meat. It comes from a myth. It does not come from any laboratory science.
Then when they see West Nile, this guy died from West Nile, what are they seeing in his body that they can connect it to West Nile? Like, what is the whole West Nile virus thing?
A lot of them will call any kind of a retrovirus activity. They'll just give it a name if it has different symptoms. Yeah.
Where was West Nile virus? Was that associated with
ever.
Mosquitoes, right here, right
Yeah.
now, in
Well,
California.
they're saying it's here now.
Yeah.
But that's your Dow Chemical
Spraying the crap out of
Monsanto
everything.
wanting to make $100 million every time they drop malathion on a city. They make fortunes on doing
They
that.
do that here in Riverside
Yep.
constantly. I'm hearing it on the news, and I'm just like, oh,
And there's no evidence. But yet,
frightening.
because the politicians are completely ignorant biochemically, they accept anything they're told. And of course, who's behind it? The chemical industries, doctors. The pharmaceutical industry and the chemical industry, doctors are all behind it. So don't worry about getting some kind of a disease from a mosquito or a swamp or anything like that. The worst thing that's going to happen if you drink swamp water is you're going to get some diarrhea or some vomit. If you're in Mississippi, that's different. You've got all kinds of chemicals that are swimming around from paint stores and you know, gasoline, you know, fuel tanks and everything that are polluting the water. So that water is pretty poisonous. But, you know, like in Asia with the tsunami, water wasn't contaminated. And they were going over there getting injections and everything else. And then in Mississippi, when they were did you see the photographs where they were decontaminating people? They're spraying these people with this white foam stuff, which is mainly ammonia.
They were in the water.
For decontaminating them. Poison. That's that. Be afraid of nature. Be afraid of all bacteria and enzymes and everything that's in nature, but trust our poisons. They're safe.
Then there are already poisons in the water, and they just gave them a dose of more poison.
And they're giving more poison. You know, so it's an absolute absurdity. But in the next, 20 years, we're going to see so much disease and so much death. It's going to be incredible because there's no reversing this one. You just have to be able to take care of yourself.
Everything for himself.
And just be afraid of anything that comes out of a needle or out of a doctor's office or out of a hospital or out of a chemical place or out of a food, a processed food place, a fast food place. You don't have to worry otherwise. Unless somebody comes in and drops malathion on it, and stay out of the air for about 30 hours. Try not to go out unless you're wearing a mask. I keep one in my car. I keep an Israeli gas mask in my car. It's got 2 compound filters.
I have one too.
So I look like a fly. I covers my entire face. At a army supply
on the internet.
Surplus store, yeah, is where I get them. They're cheaper there, Y2K, they were selling like, normally they're $19, and then during Y2K, they were selling the same thing for $50, $55. If there were some kind of chemical spill or dropping malathion, and I'm outside or in my car, I keep it in my car. I also keep one in the house, just in case.
And it'll remove poisonous gases?
For 2 of them. Pardon?
It'll remove poisonous gases, like...
It helps. Because they're compound filters. So you've got HEPA filters and you've got charcoal filters, and they're compound. They're about 8 layers for each canister on each side.
For driving the pollution,
in Asia, the Asians don't mind. They're not, as egocentric as we are, or vain. And they go around, a lot of them go around with masks on.
Yeah.
When I'm in Asia and I'm on the highway there, or whether I'm in a car or on a bus or on a motorcycle, I'm wearing a mask. Because they use diesel, so much diesel, and that's a lot worse.
Yeah, they all have
here.
these bandanas tied around their face.
No, they make these things that are like this, and they go around your ears.
and you could breathe right through it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not compound, it's not for gas.
You couldn't bring one out from there to here. You could buy one to bring it home.
Well, if you've got a problem here, you want a compound one will filter out gases.
Oh, but I mean, that
mainly
good for
filters
pollution.
out particles. It doesn't filter out gas.
I'm talking about pollution, air pollution.
It will help filter out the heavy particles, but not the gas.
The gases are pollution too.
Question, Aajonus, because we have a couple of those gas masks that you recommend us to get. How long do the filters last? We've been told anywhere from 2 hours to, depending on how long you
Well, it depends on what you're exposed to.
Okay. Well, I mean, I use them for like when I'm painting and stuff.
I use them. Well, if you're painting, they'll last probably a couple of weeks, about 8 hours a day.
Okay.
But if you're in, if you're actually in some tear gas, they're going to last you maybe an hour and a half.
It'll get harder to breathe.
Yeah. Or what it does is stops cleaning. And then the gas starts affecting you. But these were made for gas masks. For gas and military gas bombs. We're going to take it. We're going to take the questions and we'll get around. So otherwise, we're going to start complicating, confusing things. So the epidemics and all of that, it's mainly pollution. You don't hear native tribes unless somebody's come in and poisoned their environment, coming down with any kind of disease that knocks them out.
That book Savage is a good book to read.
Yeah, well, it's a play. It was a play that was put on at the Mark Taper Forum in the early 70s. And it talked about he was a British writer and in Brazil. And he talked that he was investigating it. And he was in the bars in Brazil when these people were coming in, paying them $1,500 a week to slaughter as many natives out there in the Amazon as possible, and poisoning them. That's a different kind of, that's a commercial warfare, business warfare. Business is just like a government. If they want to overpower and they want to take possession of resources and property, it means killing people, getting rid of them, especially the welfare classes. Okay, do you have a question?
I try to answer the list now.
The welfare
Okay.
classes, that has to do with
Yeah, they definitely got rid of those. Yep. And they could have stopped a lot of those deaths if they didn't want to. Because if they get rid of them, then they can allow a lot more poor people into this country to work at very low wages. And that's what it's all about.
Can I just quickly throw in one thing on the last one?
Uh-huh.
You kind of said that it's the people who got treatment are the ones that died. Because my question on it was, like flu is a detoxification, right? So why, my big question
Flu
is why
is a
would
virus, okay? Virus. Flus are always virus. You can have bacterial detoxifications like mainly colds, anything that's bacterial, but flus, they say, are all viral. Viruses are not alive. Viruses are soaps made within the cell because the body's so contaminated or a cell is so contaminated.
So what made in the cell? What was that?
Solvent.
Oh, solvent. Okay.
So the cell or environment around the cell is so toxic that bacteria, parasites, or fungus cannot break it down. So the body makes soaps, solvents to dissolve it, just like we have compounds which will break down oil. It'll disassemble it, make it into a more water-soluble substance. But what happens when you have that? You have a whole, bucket of contaminated fluid. And that same thing happens in the body. When you have bacteria, parasites, or fungus eat things, it reduces the contamination to a small amount. But when you have virus, it dissolves it, and there's no consumption and resolution. There's no shrinkage in the bacteria. There is a greater substance to be removed from the body. So it's a lot more contaminating. It's not an easy detoxification. So when these people are so contaminated with commercial, industrial pollution, that they can't use can't use bacteria, parasites, or fungus to help clean, they have to go to the viral. And a lot of people will not survive that viral detoxification because they're not healthy enough.
Oh, really? A detoxification can kill you?
Viral detoxification can kill you.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
And then plus, if you're going to Medico and getting
Getting more poisons and more chemicals
you've had
makes it worse.
say
Oh,
is
okay.
Clinton never had these kind of combative
Doesn't matter, Kat. We're not talking about that. Okay.
I gotta go to work now. The next question.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Started about 3 or 4 years ago. I started getting like, can I ask personal health questions or is it general? Ask personal health questions?
Yes,
or,
yeah.
Okay.
As long as it isn't too, as long as it's something I can answer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you can, like about 3 or 4 years ago, I started getting a pain in my lower back, right above the sacrum on the right side, and it like kind of, and then also going in the front where the ileocecal valve is, and like it actually made me like numb and limp on the right side of my body, and it's like it goes all the way up my spine, causing my shoulder to be like this, and it kind of like starts there and goes up there, makes me kind of limp and stuff on my right side. And I was just wondering if they had any idea what it was, and maybe anything like an intestine thing, or if I should do a topical thing to help with it, or
Well, if it were kidney related, you'd turn a little jaundice,
yeah,
and your urine would probably be a little stronger and even burn.
yeah, okay,
So did those symptoms
No.
occur at the same time?
No.
Then you've probably just got a pinched nerve.
yeah,
The vertebrae sit on top of each other like this, and there's gaps on either side. If they go out of place, they squeeze those nerves, and that causes the information from the brain not to get to the kidney or back from the kidney or in the intestines, because it goes around all around to the organs from the spine. It goes back to the brain. So if that transmission of information gets blocked going both ways, you've got some serious problems. Even, numbness and cripple,
yeah,
paralyzing type reaction. So in order to keep those aligned properly, you need to heat the system. It's good to get into a hot bath that's at least 103 degrees. Sit in there for a half hour to 45 minutes. Then get into the plow when you get out. If you get into everybody know yoga in the plow? So you get on your back and you bring your butt up into the air and put your knees down here
Yeah.
or over your head so your feet are touching the floor above your head. So you stretch the entire back. And you want to hold that position for as long as you can. But you don't want to do it till your back is relaxed enough from the hot bath. That way when you stretch everything, it will stay loose. If you do it while you're cold and not relaxed, you're already tense and tight, and those vertebrae are being held out of place. So if you put it back in place by doing the plow, within a few movements, you're going to go out again because it's going to twist out because those muscles are contracting. And they're going to pull it right back out. But if you've relaxed it, and then you get into the plow or go for chiropractic adjustment, when they pull you back out or you go into that stretch, everything gets stretched out and it goes back into its particular place. And all the muscles be relaxed so it won't press out of place until, you get tense again or get cold, and that could be a day and a half, 2 days, or 5 hours, depending on how cold you get cold again. If you go out of place, you're going to have to put hot water bottles along your back or get into the bath again. Okay?
great, thank you.
You're welcome.
God bless.
Nice
Thanks,
to
Ed.
meet you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Do you have a question?
Just a short question. I heard that you said that you could eat any kind of fish that was raw, but I'm not sure if it
I
was
didn't say
cooked.
any kind.
Okay.
I said wild ocean caught fish.
Okay. That's
No,
what I wanted to know.
no lake caught, no river caught, unless you know the river is up on top of the Colorado Mountains and isn't,
Right. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's good.
Do you have a question? Kathy? Put that to you.
Right.
Do you have a question?
I have difficulty in either slide different to the computer. Could we get an electric grinder? Is that okay?
Well, usually your electric grinders are high pressure. And when you put it through a high pressure grinder, it homogenizes the fat molecules. Homogenization means it splits the fat molecule. So the fats then absorb the proteins. So then it isn't digested properly to regenerate cells and become younger and more alive. What it'll do is help you generate fuel, pyruvate to burn as fuel or for detoxification. But if you want to get stronger and younger and heal properly, don't have ground meat unless you put it in a food processor. When I grind mine, I just, put it in long, thin slices and then put it in my food processor. And it turns on for 3 seconds. I've got ground meat with no high pressure. Quickly.
Is there a manual
Not that don't get metal into the meat.
so food processor?
Yeah. No. Sometimes you can chance it if you tell them to use the large sieve holes, not the small ones. They're about this round, and they put it through the high pressure, and you tell them to put it only through one. They don't like doing it, but they'll do it for you. Stainless steel is fine. But most of your meat grinders are made with hot metal and not a real, true stainless steel.
Yeah, they flake into the meat really bad.
Yep.
I mean, metal flakes in your...
Yeah.
Wow. So when you buy ground beef at the grocery store, is that the same?
That's what I'm saying. It's not good.
Oh.
Well, I've never had metal flakes in the grocery store, but I don't buy it because you're saying the pressure factor.
Right.
But if you buy a home grinder from Sur La Paix or any of those kitchen stores, they're all flaky metal and
We
meat.
bought
One
one.
use.
That's why we're saying
One
it.
use. I had it was like sparkly. It was like a Christmas decoration.
That's so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
If someone developed a hand crank stainless steel, that would be okay.
It would never hold up.
They take it back
They wouldn't?
to you?
For some reason, it doesn't hold up. If they did, they would be producing them. For some reason, meat under high pressure is not easy to put through. And if you buy one, they're $3,000 if you buy a good one. Yeah. So if you don't spend $3,000, go ahead and get a good one. You can use the large sieves and put it through one time. But that's $3,000. Yeah.
So any ground beef from the grocery stores
It's not good.
Not good. Okay.
Not unless you ask them to grind it only once and use the large sieve holes.
But they still use cleaners in their grinders and all that. I just don't trust it. They put antiseptics.
They put ammonia.
Wow.
And not clean it out properly so they get contaminated. So a food processor is so easy to clean, and you just put your chunks in there just like they do. They'll cut it into big chunks when they put it into the meat grinders in the stores. And you would have to too if you had your own grinder. I just make mine, long, thin slices, and then I put mine in my food processor. And in 3 seconds, you have ground meat. 10 seconds, you have mince, pate. So it's very quick and it's pretty easy to clean. And you can make a big batch of that and put it in glass jars, tightly sealed, and make it for a couple of days at a time. So it makes it easier that way. You're welcome. Where is that?
There it is. So I'm prefacing by saying I have given my clients day to day according to my biology and change the classes to the spring landscape class. What's that like? I can sleep long stretches of time under control. Because I wake up, about 4 or 5 hours after I go to sleep. I'd love to get up, do my thing, and then go back to what I want. I need more rest.
Well, just eat something that has some raw eggs or a milkshake made at your bedside. Down and go back to sleep. Raw eggs. Do like the Aajonus way is to poke a hole in both ends and suck it out. Or Rocky style, he breaks the raw eggs and you drink it.
Right, you said protein burn. That's why
It would be normal for somebody to wake after 5 hours. Just eat and go back to sleep.
So the fact that I sleep only 5 hours is normal. It's not because I'm
That's all you
detoxing metals
should.
out of my brain.
Red blood cells in your blood. If you go 5 hours without eating, your protein level is completely zero in your blood.
Wow.
Red blood cells start eating each other. I don't care if you were 800 pounds. No matter how large you are, protein level bottoms out at 5 hours. Red blood cells become cannibalistic and eat each other. If you think that you're healthy enough, your red blood cells are healthy enough, you got a myth going on. Only tribes who are raised raw and non-contaminated and live in a clean environment have healthy, good red blood cells where there's no contamination from red blood cells eating their own kind in your own blood.
Go on without eating 5 hours. They can sleep.
They can do it, but we can't. But they still don't. They eat about every 5 hours. But they won't have the toxicity that we will if our red blood cells start eating each other. That's why after 5 hours you need to wake up, eat something with protein in it, and go back to sleep. Eggs have protein. Good amount of protein in the egg white. So you could have a milkshake at your bedside if you wanted to be more relaxed and go back to sleep. And if you don't wake after 5 hours, you better set an alarm. Make sure you wake after 5 hours, drink eggs or milkshake or have some meat, and go right back to sleep. Have it right by your bedside. And no, you don't need to refrigerate a milkshake and go 24, 48 hours without refrigeration after you make it.
And the kefir stay too?
Kefir can stay there long too. You just have to shake it when it separates.
I've used large batches of these, and I've done a lot of research on my one by papers. I have a lot of information to help people that make large batches of juice to have the most effective juicer. And I have some information about the Green Star versus a couple of others.
I've already done that research pretty heavily. And the Green Star is the only one where in my laboratory tests proved were efficient. There's a lot of propaganda out from other ones, especially the Norwalk, which is a $2,300 juicer. You grind it in one process and then you press it in another. It double oxidizes. And the Green Star and the Green machines, they have two gears which crush it. And they're steel, they're stainless steel. And some of it's even surgical steel. Part of it's surgical steel, the recipe for surgical steel. So it's good. It's not plastic pressing against plastic, it's metal pressing against metal. If you have plastic pressing against plastic, like with the single gears juicers out there, you have phthalates that generate gases from the plastic and PBAs that gas into the food, which are highly poisonous. So your Green Stars, your Green machines are the better ones.
And it's right, they are. Green Star, there's another company that patented the parts for Green Star, and Green Star hasn't updated it since 1993. They use the same parts. There's another company that is the original Green Star company that has the patent and updated the parts that's a better juicer and cheaper than the Green Star. I've had trial and errors with several juicers. So you're right, what you're describing. Right. But if anybody's doing large batches, the Green Star that hasn't been approved since 93 is breaking down. It doesn't hold out. It's a large batch. It's about to make the melamine knife without 4 days. So there's another reason.
It's not supposed to last 4 days. It's supposed to last 3 days. So you're taking it too far. Yeah. I use the Green Power because it juices faster.
The Green Power.
It's a larger machine. It's a larger horsepower. And it cuts about 5 to 10 minutes out of juicing if you're juicing large batches. But that's because it has a larger screen. The Green Star has a screen that's about this big. The Green Power has one that's this big. And the gears are about three-quarters of an inch longer. So there's more grinding space. And it's $100 more than a Green Star. You can have it delivered to your door for $438 if you call John LaShore, with Nature is something. Anyway, and the Green Star from him is like $350, delivered to your door. So It's well, if you're juicing for more than one person, then, I would go for the green power. Now, they're not producing more of the green powers. They're not manufacturing more of them, so they probably have maybe 500 machines left in the world. So when they're gone, they're gone.
This is John Green.
John was short, Lysshire, I think it is. Too many of the parts were cracking, but I had one for 10 years before I bought the new one. I bought the new Green Power Kimpo, and it's so frickin' small that it took forever to juice with it. So I went back to the old one. The Green Power Kimpo is just a little bitty model. It's smaller than the Green Star. So I just gave it away. Ridiculous.
That's the one that's not, they're separate companies. That was the original one that they, and there's a little...
No, that's the old company. The Kimpo is the original gold. Green Power Gold, Green Power Kimpo are the same company. However, the Kimpo machine is so small, it takes forever to juice. The new technology is Kimpo.
The one was only 500 left.
No, that's the Green Star Gold. That's the Green Gold. Green Power Gold. It's not a new technology. It's 1993. The new technology is then the Kimpo, Green Power Kimpo. And it takes too long to juice. And you have to stop and clean it and clean it and clean it. So the old technology is better as far as time and production. Yes. Well, you stick with the Green Star, go with the Green Power. But not Green Power Kimpo. Green Power Gold, not Green Power Kimpo.
Gold, you have to think of parts. Yes, 500 machines left.
Well, 500 machines left, about. Probably not even that. They do have parts. Still parts available. But mine cracked all over the place when I was doing coconut. And I got replacement parts. And it's just, don't screw those eye screws in too tightly. That's the thing that cracks it. So I had it for 2 years without a crack in it. I had some guests over, screwed the hell out of it while I was out of the house, and they cracked the whole machine by doing coconuts. Just because they screwed those things in too tightly. And that's what caused the cracking. But the Green Life and Green Star were made by a different company, an offshoot. Not a different company. They were partners and they split. And one of the partners made the Green Life and then the Green Star. And the original company, that partner made the Green Power Gold, which was the original, and the Green Power Kimpo. But the Green Power Kimpo has great technology. It's so small it's a pain in the ass. Okay, let's move on. You have a question? Okay. Theo, you know what's up? Jim, you have a question?
Yeah, I could spend hours on it, but what can I do to recover motion?
You mean flexibility, or you can't bend it with your own? That's just going to take time. You need to, submerge it in the water that's at least 104 degrees, 104 degrees, and leave it for about 45 minutes at a time. No, because then you're taking care of your whole body. Your body's going to use the nutrients on the whole body. If you want to focus on one particular area for cleansing and healing, you've got to only focus on that spot, that area. Otherwise, the nutrients in your body are going to be all used up on your whole body if you're getting into a bath. Okay? So that'll help. Yeah. No, you don't have to move it, but if you want to, that helps. Simple. Do you have a question? Pardon? Well, let's see. See how long they take. Okay. She asked, why do people get toenail and fingernail fungus? You get a fungi mainly because of antibiotics stored in the joints. And just remember that antibiotics are made from molds. They're molds from wheat or some kind of grain. And they inject them into you. They sterilize them and then they inject them into you. So it creates a mold that eats other bacteria or molds, or mainly what the vaccines and the antibiotics do is they poison the digestive tract and the bloodstream and neurological serum. They poison them and they cause the destruction of many cells. So it doesn't really stop and improve health. What it does is it contaminates the body so badly that the body can no longer focus on what it was detoxifying. Whether you have bacteria, parasites, or a fungi, or a virus, cleaning your system. It's poisoning and the mass contamination that it causes directly in the serums and in the intestinal tract that stops the normal detoxification that was being carried on. So there's never any progress toward better health from those things. There's just more contamination. When you get the fungus in the nails, whether it's toe or feet, or even fungus in the scalp, as it often happens around hair. In men, it could be chest or back, or, butt. Those fungi are mainly from antibiotics.
Coming out of your system.
They become reactive again. The molds have created submolds to help break it down. Now, bacteria, parasites, fungi are all in nature to decompose waste products, reduce them into a substance that can be recycled. So what do we use as fertilizer? We use excrement. We use secretion, urine, the nitrogen that we put in the fields, that these big corporations put in fields. What they've done is they have these huge dairy companies that take the runoff of urine from the cattle. They purify it and then go stick it out into the fields and pump it into the fields after they chemically process it. So it's got all this ammonia and nitrogen in it. And what is the other thing we use? We use feces. All part of nature to recycle, to fertilize. Same thing occurs in our bodies. The bacteria and parasites and the fungi have waste products. Well, what they've done is taken a mass amount of food and they break it down into a small substance. Parasite can eat 100 times its weight in about 20 hours. And reduce that amount into feces that equal about 1%. So it's like eating 100 pounds of food and having a 1 pound shit the next day, 20 hours later. That's efficiency. When you have virus working in your body, you don't have a reduction, you have more of a contamination. Bacteria can eat 50 times their weight in the same amount of time and produce a 3 to a 5% not a reduction, but that's all they eliminate is about 2 to 5% fecal matter out of 50 times their weight, the size, their weight in a 20-hour period. Very efficient. Fungi, it's a little different. Fungi is like a cross between a virus and a bacteria. There's a serum. They mainly propagate on a mycelium. It's a liquid substance which goes in and dissolves. It is alive, and if you see mushrooms pop up, you know that a mycelium was working on some kind of root structure in the ground, and if you dig it up, you'll find roots with white, like glue-looking substances on it, or liquidy white substance. That's the mycelium. The mushroom is the fruit of that, which creates the spores, so it can be thrown around so that if when the rain comes and they wash into the earth, if they find dead roots, the mycelium goes to work. That's the way the bacteria and parasites work in us, and fungi. When they find something degenerative, they go to work. That's their job. This is like the crows and the vultures. When they find a dead carcass, they eat it. They consume all this massive, stinky, smelly stuff and reduce it to a small amount of fecal matter, which becomes fertilizer. We want virus. We want bacteria. I mean, we want parasites. We want bacteria. We want fungi to do their work to reduce this contamination. We get well faster. Virus, we get well very slowly. A lot of people will die from it, from viruses. And there's no antibiotic that works with the virus because antibiotics are to poison and kill bacteria and parasites and fungus. They don't work on non-living substances like a virus. A virus is just a protein box. You put virus, you spike a petri dish with virus, there is no multiplication of virus. It's all the same amount. If you put live cells in there, all of a sudden more virus will start appearing. Why? Because the virus is created by the cells, intercellularly. Why are there 100 and 200,000 viruses? Because when a cell has to make soaps to clean itself, it's not going to make a soap to clean everything. How many solvents do we have to clean different kinds of dirt, different kinds of particles, different kinds of oils? A cell has to make a particular virus to clean a particular part of the internal structure or the epidermal structure of the cell itself. So it's a very finite process, and there's no way that any human is smart enough to create a good balance to know what the human body or an animal cell is doing. So the whole idea that we can, balance and counterbalance whatever we do is a myth. People have an inflated, idea of what their abilities are and capabilities. Because it would take it takes a live structure and all the internal life within this structure to do it. Well, we have 60 trillion cells in our body. Each one is part of the whole structure and takes care of us in itself. And inside that structure, that cellular structure, you have 60 trillion other micro life forms also making up that one cell's life. Some of them are called somates, the larger of those microcosms. So it's infinite. I know that was pretty heavy into your question. The fungus is an important part of breaking down toxic substances, but they mainly come from antibiotics in your lifetime. And most of those antibiotics store in the hands and feet, in the joints, in the bone marrow. So let's say it starts causing some deterioration in the cartilage or in the bone or the bone marrow. The body throws it off, and where does it throw it off? Builds it into the nails and out the cuticles. Yeah. Oh yeah, he had fungus all over. Hands cracking and and pus. It was. Gangrene was a fungus. And in the book I talk about, when I'm talking with my son and we're working and that mold became on my thumb, that's what I found out. It was penicillin coming out. And I hadn't had pills going in 28 years to that point.
What about ridges in the nails?
Ridges in the nails are usually heavy metals being built into the nails. And it causes a larger, when you've got heavy metals running in the blood, they have a tendency, or in the system anywhere, they have a tendency to magnetize other metals. So when it builds into the nails, it's too large of a structure, too large of a unit, so it creates these ridges. As the body builds it out.
So that's a discharge.
Pardon?
That is a discharge.
That's a discharge. It's one way the body gets rid of it. Build it into the nails and get it out. Also does it into the hair. Well, the hair gets very dry and brittle, and the scalp will turn, white. A lot of dandruff. A lot of dandruff and itchy. Pardon? Just get it done. That's the quick way. The coconut oil. The Thai coconut oil they use there. No, you don't want to wash it. If you're going to put it on your scalp, you want to put it on like your palm or on a plate, just a very thin layer. Put it on, separate your hair, and go like this, and put it all on your scalp. You get your hair too oily, it may look cool. It could be like the Rastas, the Jerry curl. Black people, Yes. Coconut cream is not the same. The coconut cream soothes the tissues. Coconut cream and coconut oil are very different. Coconut cream is soothing and healing as well as detoxifying. Coconut oil and all of your pressed oils are mainly solvent reactive. They mainly help degenerate and dissolve toxicity in the system. So they can help break down the fungus easier. However, the coconut cream might feed it. Yes. I think it's a good thing. I always prefer using something that's whole rather than an isolated something. However, if I use the coconut cream when I'm using a sunblock, it doesn't work as well. But if I use the coconut oil, it's a great sunblock. Those little, finite things, that's why I have them in the book. Oh, and the new version, the expanded, revised 2005 edition of We Want to Live will be out the 16th. 16th of this month, next week. It's being finished. It's on the dryers right now. The copies, and they'll be bound this week and available next week. So now Jim is producing a website which will make all of my material available, searchable on the internet. So you can go there and put the book, you can put any question, and it'll search all of my books and any of the articles, anything I've written, plus other information that I'm going to make available for future books. It's going to be on there within a year. So, and
right now you can search the articles and
interviews, and you have the books on soon, right? And you'll be able to buy the downloadable versions of the books. So you can have them on your computer so you can search through it instantly if you want. In a PDF format, which takes Adobe. You won't be able to change anything in it, you won't be able to write anything in it, but you'll be able to search it and print it. Okay? So that's the best thing about his website. Okay.
I come back to you for the question.
I will come back to you once I finish. Well, I'm almost finished. Let's see, I got you. Yeah.
I was wondering what difference
Intense
Well, carbohydrates burn fast, but they don't burn long and they don't give you stamina. And they also make you crazy. If you want to be like McEnroe and like the other ones that throw golf clubs and throw tennis, that's high carbohydrate, fast burning fuel. But if you want to be a good athlete, you just need to eat a lubrication formula with your meat meals so that your pyruvate is slowly portioned out and you're burning fats, not high carbohydrates. So there's not a lot of waste. You get 2.5 calories, over one with fat, over one with carbohydrate and protein. So that's why your wrestlers are all fat. You know, that's why your weightlifters are all fat. Your bodybuilders are mainly muscle and not fat, but they don't have stamina like, you know, an athlete. So more fat, but it needs to be on a balanced system. But if you're an athlete, you need to have a lubrication formula with your meat. Take for instance, I had a Lucky. He's not here today, but you know, he's a skinny guy. Like James is a really skinny guy. You know, when he first came, these people came to me in their 50s. You know, and I think Lucky was 56, and he'd been on the diet for years. And he said, "Hey, can I bodybuild on this diet?" And he always wanted to be built really well, but he was really skinny and 6'1", and never able to do it. And I said, "Yeah, just eat a lubrication formula with your meat meal. Eat a whole pound of meat at one time with a whole lubrication formula twice a day."
Does the lemon in the lubrication formula do something to the meat?
No, it does something to the lubrication formula.
Okay, so it's okay even if you're not an athlete to have a lube formula with meat?
Yes, it is. Yes, it's very good for lubricating the body and reversing delipidation, which is dryness in the system.
Yeah, does the lemon in the lube formula affect the beef?
No, like I said in the recipe book, as long as the lemon is mixed 7 minutes beforehand with fat, the lemon juice is utilized in the fat, not in the meat. I forgot what I was talking about.
You have to wait 7 minutes to say.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking what I wanted to finish before that. Oh, the athletic stuff. So it has to be a balanced diet again, but you just may need more pineapple. You may have to eat pineapple more regularly, you know, to get rid of the uric acid and lactic acid buildup from exercise. But I remember what I was thinking. Lucky, he put on 4 inches in his arms in 2.5 months, 6 inches on his chest. And at Gold's Gym, they accused him of using steroids. He says, "I'm telling you, it's the raw butter, the raw eggs, and the raw meat." Sure it is. Yeah, he couldn't believe it because he'd been skinny all his life, and in 2.5 months he just blew up. Yeah, it's got to be with fat. Usually coconut cream is the best way to dissolve uric and lactic acid buildup. Bananas are more hard. Bananas are a little difficult on the liver, so and they have a tendency to cause constipation. So they're a little bit more difficult. When they're green, they're better. You know, the apes and monkeys, except for the killer monkeys, eat bananas with the peel. They eat the peel and all green. You know, it's alamy. My God, I can't even get enough saliva to swallow it that way. So they eat green bananas without the peel. But that's the way the apes and the monkeys that aren't killer monkeys. Well, the killer monkeys go on these killing sprees after eating 24 hours of overripe fermented fruit. Ripe bananas and figs. And then they go on a killing spree.
Wow.
It's the alcohol.
Wow.
And all that high sugar rips all the fat out of their nervous system.
Like that age?
No, you usually need more milk. And cucumbers are good, more tomatoes. Cucumbers are one of the better things to eat. You might want to peel your cucumber. Well, in about almost 70% of the test people I did it with, in the men, the peel, there's something in the peel that keeps the muscles from getting as hard and as taut, including the penis. So it can interfere with penile erection and even, you know, clitoral, you know. So, and it doesn't happen with everybody, but 70% of the men, and I didn't have enough volunteers with women to try it, you know. If you want to try it, try it. But in the cucumber helps erection and helps muscles tighten, contract, you know. So the cucumbers, and then they allow the more fluid into the muscles at the same time. So they're perfect for that. It's in the new book. That's in the new book. There's a lot of new stuff in the new book. There's 65 new pages. And all of the bacteria and virus and fungi and parasitical information is now put in that book, and it's explained. You know, when I wrote it the first time, I said certain bacteria are bad, and if you don't want the bacteria, stay away from the stinky foods. That's because my publisher wouldn't publish the book unless I said that, because he was freaked out. But now he's seen 3,000 people who've eaten the stinky, full of bacteria, parasitical meat, and get healthier and boast about it. So he says, write anything you want. So just what I wanted to say is in that book now.
That's wonderful. Regarding the cucumber, you don't recommend eating it with the skin. What about juicing it with the skin?
You don't want to juice it with the skin either. That particular enzyme that's in the skin will kind of get out into the juice.
Okay.
So if you don't have a problem with penile erection or clitoral erection, then you don't have to worry about that peel. It's not affecting you that way.
Put the peel on your head. The repellent.
There you go. Honey, you couldn't get it up. I'm sorry. But sweetheart, you can always give me a head. So watch out.
So you say pineapple will handle uric and lactic acid buildup. So on this stout thing, that pineapple would be food of choice.
Yeah, it would be, as long as your pineapple's with coconut cream, you'll be safe. Coconut cream as well as a little butter and a little cream, dairy cream, all mixed together. It's preferable that way. Pineapple pulp is fine. You don't want the juice. I don't want, whenever I say fruit, I'm not talking about juice unless it's a particular recipe. You know, always eat the fruit. You can blend it all together. It depends upon you. Ask him. Half a pineapple a day for what, 4 days in a row? He was a basket case.
What were you doing?
For me, if I had probably a cup a day every day for 6 days, it would be a problem. Every day for 6 days, yeah.
And Aajonus keeps reminding you. How nice of you.
Well, I like people to go to somebody who has experience and is aware of it. So here's the man to talk to. Yeah, you have to be careful about that. That's why I've given the book, you know, you can have a pineapple mixture nut every other day maybe, every third day, but don't have it every day. Unless you're an athlete. If you want what? Yeah, it's like a Viagra. Yeah, it's not like Cialis, which will work 36 hours, but it will certainly keep you. Like I had last night, I was thirsty, and I just didn't want a tomato. I didn't want anything else but a nice, cool cucumber. So I peeled the sucker and I ate it. I had an erection all night. I woke every few hours, and this Woody was there, you know, and nobody to do anything with, except for Mini 5. No, I ate it. Yeah, but I didn't find it works as well. There's something in the pulp.
There's a number of farms that are absolutely growing cucumbers without using without taking there are concepts that have that have been whacked.
And they allow 5% petroleum powder. That's all it really is. Yeah.
Everything is getting whacked. Vegetable oil. Fruit or whatever it is. But losing it and they do it for apple and pumpkin. I thought the better life about it, you have to notice that most of the time cucumbers are completely flat. Like a real freak about it.
I agree with you. I'm glad you mentioned that because Jeff and I just got into a little discussion here about. I've noticed that they're all, even if they're organic, they're waxed, and I always, peel them. But yeah, I'm glad you
Peel
said
them
that.
anyway if you have an erection problem.
2 months ago, the last had
Right. Big party or have you? I hope you're enjoying it.
I got it. By the way, the juice that's a lot is definitely like cucumber. It used to be a long time ago.
Zucchini. Yeah. Because? Yeah, but it's most people need the nutrients, the zinc, for the thyroid and the brain. That'd be better. Yeah, you don't need people who are going around with woodies, no brains and all woody.
Yeah, there's enough of that on this planet.
That's true.
Okay. My question is, it's the broad subject of longevity and reusing. Yeah. In yoga, they talk about a number of ways of approaching reusing a Vedic program.
Okay, let me attack that. If you're going to break this down into stages, I'm going to take one stage at a time.
Yeah,
Okay, the yogi shit is all bullshit. I've lived with 7 masters, and none of them lived anywhere beyond 80 years old. Most of them didn't live that long. They all had ill health. So they can't even talk about longevity, because these people lived in meditation. They lived in all kinds of transcendental states, and they didn't improve their lives. They may have improved their lives, but they certainly didn't live without disease, and they didn't live longer than anybody else.
Okay.
So nix that as far as longevity.
So all this talk about meditating to induce pituitary or the pineal gland for purposes of regeneration is
all complete bullshit.
I see.
In the vernacular.
Anyway, okay. Now, Finley, what about...
Now, I'm not saying that if you weren't on raw foods, that your body would not be feeding the pineal gland or pineal, however you want to say it, and the pituitary gland properly would extend your life, because it probably would. There are hormones that the body can produce. Growth hormones are a part of the pituitary gland, and if you can continue growth hormones, you can continue your life and live longer.
But doing it physically with your body doesn't like...
You mentally, psychologically, I have not seen any evidence of proof of that, even though it's written in all these yoga books and all these transcendental meditation books. It's all horseshit. Yeah.
A lot of yogi guys cancer.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
Maybe they have more focus on other levels, but it's on a health issue.
Longevity, they don't show any indication that that's true what they postulate. Postulate extending life and extending health. No evidence. In fact, evidence just proves the opposite.
If you're on a raw diet and you do yoga poses like to stimulate your liver and all that stuff,
That should definitely help. Definitely, because you're taking care of the basic structure and chemistry.
Eat all that high carbohydrate stuff.
Yep.
And dairy.
Lots of fruit and lots of rice,
Dairy.
pasta, beans. Yep.
Yes. Okay.
The rest of your longevity question is?
Okay. As far as the different breakdowns, facial acupressure is. If you're on a raw diet, I take it that'll enhance the longevity of the skin. If you do pressure points between the...
Well, I would say not necessarily. Let's say you have lymphatic congestion and hardening. Let's say you've been a vegetarian for most of your life. And vegetable oils in the human body harden, they crystallize because we don't have a high enough body temperature. Herbivores have a body temperature 100 to 101.6, I think it is. They run around with a fever. For us, that would be a fever. Ours is 98.6 about, approximately. Vegetable oils that are in the cellular structure or in whatever structure of our bodies over a 10 to 15 to 20 year period crystallize and harden. That's what causes hardening of the heart and the arteries, not animal fats. Even if animal fats are cooked, there's no evidence of hardening of the heart or the arteries because the tribes that eat only cooked meat and eat nothing else but cooked meat and cooked animal fats have no hardening of the arteries and no heart disease. Only our society has high relationship to that, and it's mostly in people, including the MSP, people who have multiple sclerosis, is a high vegetable oil diet. Margarine, safflower oils, any of the pressed oils except for olive oil. They start to crystallize and harden at our body temperature over many years if our body is structured with them. So if you're putting pressure on points where you already have dryness of circulation, whether it's lymphatic circulation or neurological circulation or blood circulation, you're going to cause breaking and cracking. But all you have to do is touch. Touch. That's it. Barely put your hand on a spot. And you have the electromagnetic energy flow through to those centers. There's no pressing necessary. And that's the best way to do it. I mean, there's a lot of numb people out there who like to feel something. I remember when I was an actor, my publicity agent, who was the head of MGM's publicity department, when he reached 75, he cut his hand real badly one time, and I wanted to help him, stop the pain and everything. He says, no, it's a sensation. I had to really stop and think about that, What the hell did he mean it's a sensation? Do you get that numb when you're 75, 72 years old? That any kind of sensation is embraced? That's where masochism and sadism.
So massages are not good, really?
Especially if they're going to break tissue in your body. That's why a massage, whenever I go to Thailand, I usually have 3 massages a day, 2 hours each. And I only sleep at those times. So I have one in the morning from about 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, so that's a 2-hour sleep period for me. And the first one will be with the coconut oil. It's gently rubbed into my skin. Then the next 2 are tickle. They tickle my whole body while I sleep. And let me tell you, when I wake from those, I'm charged. I'm charged. If I have a deep tissue massage, it's like, I need to go sleep more, or I need to eat. And I feel uncomfortable because you have all these toxins moving through your system, and you may have caused a lot of damage.
Wow. You tell them, you just make it lighter.
Well, I take their arm and I said, you treat my whole body this way. And they said, everywhere? I said, no, I'm here for a massage. Sleep.
No happy
if
ending.
you wake me up, no good. I said, really? My happy ending is waking restfully. I want sex, I'll do it another way. You have a question?
I do. We recently went on a vacation to Dakota, and the first week we had all the groups with us, and then we ran out, and there were no health issues there. So firstly, I just want to say thank you, because when we got off the raw food, the pain started to come back, the aches in the muscles, especially the knees, that I had totally forgotten I had before the diet, so I knew it was bad. Secondly, I had terrible allergy attacks while I was there, and we may move there. So my question is, I don't really know if those allergies came because I was off the food for a week, or if there's something sorry, we have allergy section.
Well, in the new version, I have more
Okay.
on
Talk
allergies.
briefly about how, aside from the balanced diet, is there anything else in addition I can do? Because I still have congestion.
Anytime anybody has respiratory problems, including breathing, eggs. Every hour and a half to every 2 hours. Eggs. If you need mucus, and usually allergies become because your body's not creating enough mucus to block the pollens and the dirt that are in the air. So they get in there and irritate the mucous membranes. They dry them out more. They cause all this sneezing, the runny eyes, because the body's trying to break that down and take it out the tear ducts, out the throat, nasal drip, out your ears. It's trying to dump it. You're a lack mucus production. So you need to eat things like milk, cream, honey, and eggs together. But if you're having problems digesting, like with people who have emphysema, egg, until that point where you can digest properly, then it's milkshakes. So you can produce enough mucus to heal and protect yourself.
Great, thank you.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Your question.
Well, it follows on the same vein. Should we move there?
You mean the same snot?
No, I said that. It's a blood issue. What do we do about water? We're probably going to drill down and go into a local aquifer. But, for washing with and even for potable.
That's good.
That's okay?
Yep. But I mean, for drinking, like I say, today I had 3 tablespoons of water. Eat cucumbers, peeled cucumbers, tomatoes, milk. That's where you should get your fluids.
Right.
As much as possible.
Well, we're really concerned that we're going to be there year-round, and they have a long winter, so we're not sure what we're going to do for vegetables. We're going to try and put a greenhouse in, but...
Right.
I mean, growing our own celery is going to look like a field of celery.
Well, you can make a lot of cucumbers. You just need a cold cellar.
Okay.
We used to, at my grandparents' farm, we kept everything fresh in a cold cellar. And I mean, it was a basement that was, rock and concrete. And it was wet and cold down there. And, they kept, cucumbers in gallon jars. And, they would hardly shrivel at all as long as you didn't open them. So... of course, they made pickles and, all kinds of things, for the winter.
So whatever the temperature is at that point will keep you around, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, down, when you're 10 feet below the earth, it pretty much stays the same temperature, which is about 60 degrees and lower. 58 to 60 degrees.
Yeah, well, we have to...
Even if it freezes above, it won't freeze in the cold cellar.
Very good.
Unless you have a vent that allows even colder air to come in because you want it to get colder.
Right.
If it isn't cold enough, then you just run a vent down in there. A concrete vent, that has a cover on it. It doesn't get wet. It also has to be above the ground, so if it floods, the water won't go down into your basement.
But if that's well water, would we need a filter on the house water that's coming in for bathing?
If you don't want your... I don't have any filter on mine, and I've got all those clusters of minerals all around my faucets. So if you don't want that, you're going to have to filter.
But it's not bad for you.
If you're not using chemical filters...
No, I mean the minerals that you have.
No, it's just that you're going to go through fixtures about every 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, the two things they're doing locally is they have heavy iron content in the water, and they soften the water, which I'm assuming is a salt process.
Yeah, they use usually potassium chloride, which is saltpeter.
Okay.
So you want to have a limp dick, drink your water. Or don't use it at all. That's what they use here in this system. But I had when I moved into here, I saw the bags of saltpeter, and I said, you're not filtering my water that way. So I repiped the whole thing, did it myself. So I repiped it, so I'm right out of the well into the house.
Great.
Are you using metal piping?
The toilet jammed, because of the crystallization, so when the water wasn't flowing anymore down into the, except for the water just right down into the drain itself. So I just had to have the toilet replaced.
What does that potassium chloride do to you if it is in?
It makes it, which it does. Those salts make heavier salts that makes them into smaller molecules, so it doesn't dry out things, so it doesn't make your clothes stiff and all of that.
No, but is it toxic for your body?
Oh yes, very toxic. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm making the loop around here, so we're just going around. Did you thought of a question?
Yeah, I was thinking of, I know you told us to use the BioClean for the laundry stuff, but what if you have a stain in your clothes? Is there something else?
I still use the degreaser, BioClean degreaser.
The same
for
one.
everything. Yes, for
And
everything.
take out everything.
And don't follow their instructions and dilute it. When you dilute it, it doesn't work.
Well, I know, but I'm saying if you're stained with something. A strong stain. Water scrubbing around it, or something, it'll take it out.
You can do that, but let me tell you, if you use the carbonated mineral water to take a stain, remember that carbonated water is a natural peroxide. It's going to take the color out of whatever it is. So even though it will get rid of blood stains and everything immediately and other stains, you better rinse it out immediately, because you will take the color out of your furniture and clothes and rugs and everything.
I have a related
the other thing is the side pain on my foot. It's like a terrible
That's two
pinching.
questions, sweetheart.
After I went raw, I noticed that if I did get blood on anything, it would wash out like that with no...
Yeah, you don't have all that
nothing.
sticky garbage
So
cooked diets.
So before, a lot of it is that blood stains so much because of being on a cooked diet.
Yeah, and preservatives and colorings and food colorings and all of that. Those are heavy metals, so that causes dying. Not just death dying, but color dying.
Gerald Steiner, mineral water could possibly take the color out.
That's right. Just look at my couch in there. I've got 3 spots where I put it on and didn't wash it out right away. Took the stain out immediately. Also took the color with it.
Wow.
Do you have a question? Okay. Do you have a question? Do you have a question, Roger?
Yeah. What about taking testosterone or growth hormone?
If you're eating bull's balls that are available at the, you're getting good testosterone that way.
Eating what?
There's buffalo testicles.
I get them every Wednesday. Because they're really grabbed 5 or 6 or 7.
There's a couple of very horny guys that...
More than half of them are women that take them. I don't think they're using them for themselves or for their mate. I have been cashiering, and more than half this last Wednesday were bought by women.
No kidding. Tell them to buy cucumbers with them for them.
What about the DHEA that he's talking about?
DHEA is a chemical. If you get it in a brain, it's fine. But the chemically produced DHEA is not a complete substance. It's a chemical DHEA. It shouldn't even be called DHEA.
By the way, just so you know, you cannot, with North Star Bison, you cannot get things like brain and spinal cord and all that stuff because it's illegal. But we can do it through Amos Miller, and he's been saying that if we want to get some of that stuff, he's got a waiting list for the brain.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. But if we want other things for Amos, he can send it to us. So we can get some more organs through him.
Correct. Yes. Do you have a question?
I do. Hernia. I've heard from even people on the diet that the only way for a groin hernia to be cured is through surgery.
I agree.
You agree?
Lucky has one, and so does Brenda. They pop out.
I've only known one person who is able to heal their hernia. I've known 4 people who've had hernias that over a 3-year period on the diet did not heal them because they keep bursting out and pushing and tearing. And there's some kind of toxicity in the surrounding tissue that won't allow proper healing. And the only way, there's ways that I would attempt to do it now, but I haven't had anybody with a hernia lately to be able to experiment with.
Well, here you go.
Yeah. So.
People are having surgery though. I got there complaining about that surgery was a problem also. That mesh that they put in there.
Yeah, but see, they're not using the pork mesh. I've had 2 people use the pork mesh, and it's been beautiful. Yeah. They use actual pork flesh.
As opposed to
plastic mesh.
Okay. That's what I got.
This is with, like they used to make, sutures out of cat gut. They make the mesh out of pig tissue, pig guts.
Food really affects it too, depending on what I eat.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes when I eat beef, it causes a little bit of pain.
Well, that's just because your body may be going in there to clean out some of that toxicity because of the high protein level.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So you just need to know what particular toxin is there. And the only way I can tell that is by photographing the eyes.
I'd love to be a guinea pig if you want to try stuff on me and document. I mean, I'll try anything before surgery,
Okay. But you're going to have to, I've tried for 3 years with people without, it didn't get worse, it didn't get better. So.
Well, not getting worse. Because I've heard that if it gets too bad, it can be major surgery. I mean, that's what I've heard.
That's true if you're on a normal diet, but on this diet, I haven't seen anybody get worse. It's just annoying.
Well, this has gotten worse over the last few years.
Are you 100% on the diet, eating properly at proper times? Okay, I rest my case.
I don't
say yes.
People that I've met on the public diet that is 100% perfectly. Well, okay. Kathy.
I do. I've got probably 50 people that I knew do it strictly. They wouldn't do anything else because even Paul Cohen, who is a champion tennis player years ago, Olympics, and was McEnroe's coach for 10 years, he's 100%er. He won't do anything else because now he's in his 70s, or his late 60s, and he needs all the direction and energy he can get. So he does it by the letter, by the amount, the times of the day, everything exactly. And 1 year he fought with me, got skinny, and he decided to do everything differently. And he was so off balance that year, his income went down, everything went down. So a year later he was coming back and apologizing. Now he's 100% on the diet.
There's got to be certain foods that would make it better or easier or calmer or...
Yeah. But it depends on what toxicity is in that tissue where the tear is, which is not allowing it to reverse and heal. If anybody's going to the restroom, all the way around. Nobody goes up those stairs, okay? All the way around and go upstairs into the restroom.
Yeah, that includes you, Aubrey.
Yeah, because that whole stairs is black from people walking up and down it. Okay, and also it's like in a ship, in a boat, very steep, very easy to fall and break your neck. Do you have a question?
Yeah, my girlfriend suffers from night terrors, and she takes capsules for them, and I want to know what you know about night terrors.
Okay, nightmares occur to burn off hormones that are not burned off during daytime. Usually somebody who produces a lot of hormones for physical activity. So if they're not exercising, they're going to have nightmares. Or they're going to be emotionally distraught, angry, and bitter and angry.
They're not nightmares. They're different stages of sleep. It's like a stage 4. And it's like you can't go back.
You said night terrors?
Night terrors. Not nightmares.
You wake up terrified, what are night terrors?
They're totally different. You wake up...
No recollection of everything.
Yeah, no recollection of what happened, and you wake up, you're awake, like some part of you is awake in stage 4 of your sleep, and you could do things and draw things and say things, and you can't get out of it until you go back to sleep and then wake up again. And if you wake up
Sleepwalking, like
yeah,
that.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, but you don't really know about night terrors that much. Can I ask you a different question?
I know a little bit about them. They're usually due to a trauma that's been unresolved in some way. You might look into something called EMDR. I rapidly desensitization sedation at Harvard. It's clinically proven.
She teaches it.
Oh, you teach it?
Or she does it.
Who teaches it?
My mom right here.
Oh, you
Teaches
do?
what?
Oh, you're a therapist probably. Okay, well then EMDR I've heard is pretty much the best treatment.
But if you have any kind of neurological problem, brain malfunction, it's a lack of protein. You know, and you should be combining, you know, all three kinds of meats to help the brain.
And can I ask a different question?
Oh, I thought you only could have one question.
You can only have one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Do you have a question?
I already did.
Oh, okay.
You can ask my question.
Yeah, you can have
hers.
Yes.
Okay, yes. What, if you're going through, how do you know whether you're going through viral detox, if you have the flu, whether it's bacteria or viral, so you know?
Flu is always viral. Cold may be mostly bacterial.
So you're throwing up, that's the flu.
Pardon?
Achiness, pain, and throwing up is the
Yeah.
flu.
See, when you have a cold, it isn't so bad. You can work, you can function, the detox is normal. But when you have a flu, it can be overwhelming because of all the mass contamination, mass contaminated fluids that have to be expelled from your body.
So how do you just treat that the same way, though?
No, you want to go do more perspiring, you know, hot baths to get it out, more smoothies, you know, I mean, lots of milkshakes, maybe more fruit, more smoothies if you're having a viral. Do you have a question?
Yeah. Starting the diet here and trying to stock up on meats and stuff. What's the deal about vacuum packing meat? Is that going to be an issue to try and, you know, extend?
Yeah, it will extend the freshness. I put all mine in glass jars.
Right. I noticed that. That's why I'm asking the question. Is there a problem to vacuum pack it in the little the food saver, plastic bags?
Well, the problem with your plastic bags is that they all have a powdery film that they use in manufacturing, so the plastic doesn't stick together.
Okay.
And it's petroleum-based chemical. So if you want to wash the plastic before you heat seal it, vacuum pack it, that's fine. But I wouldn't throw unless you're going to take the meat out and wash it. You know, rinse it off with good cold water before you cut into it and utilize it. So you do one or the other.
You are correct on that stuff. I had the food saver, and I had the material. That material is very different from Ziploc bags.
Oh, yeah.
That material's got a powdery film on all of it because that's where they use it. They don't know where you're going to heat seal it,
right.
Yeah.
So they cover the whole entire thing from one end of the roll to the other with that stuff.
A little dimple.
Yeah, what I learned in Aajonus knows this because for years at the beginning when we were doing meat, we'd go to Whole Foods and buy meat. Within 2 or 3 days, it was already starting to go off and smelly. The reason why we found out mostly is because it's exposed to the air and the oxygen all day. Right. So when we cut up meat over at the lot, we cut it up and undo it from the vacuum package that we have and put it immediately into Ziploc bags. And it lasts for 7 to 10 days without going off. But you can do even better, as he says, take it from there and put it into glass. And then
Glass jars and pack it tightly as you want.
It won't break down at all. No oxygen, no breakdown.
Because if you pack it like that, the fat doesn't turn brown.
Right.
If you leave it in the plastic sealed bags, the fat will turn brown within 3 days.
Right.
4 days.
It starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts.
By the 5th, 6th day, it's brown.
Yeah.
Not as tasty. Yes.
I had a question about high meats. Can you talk about those a little bit? I haven't been able to.
Well, I talked about it pretty extensively in the recipe book. So, but it works. It takes people out of poor digestion. People who have poor digestion and depression usually brings people out pretty quickly. A lot of people that don't respond quickly enough on regular meat do very well with high meat. The reason that the high meat works isn't necessarily just because of the bacteria, introduction of bacteria into the intestines that are missing bacteria. It's because the bacteria has pre-digested the molecules of protein and meats. So let's say normally in digestion you're lacking a couple of hundred varieties of bacteria that normally break down the complex proteins and help form new proteins to be utilized in your body. Doesn't happen. Eating the high meat helps that because the bacteria is already working on the meat, breaking it down. So when you're eating it, especially if it's in liquid form, it's already pre-digested. You can absorb it and utilize it instantly. That's a liver problem. You gotta eat some, lemon with your butter. Don't eat much cream for a while. Minimize minimize the consumption of avocados. Eat more pineapple. Custard is good. Eating custard, pineapple with coconut cream and all that other stuff.
If you drink a Lube formula and you feel nauseous, should you not drink it, or should you just drink it anyway and ignore the nausea?
Put more honey in it.
Okay.
If you're getting nauseous from a Lube formula, you put more honey in it so it doesn't cause nausea. Or eat some cheese with it. Because it can be one of two things. If the liver is having a problem digesting it, the liver's going to start throwing off poisons into the stomach. That causes nausea. Cheese will absorb it. Honey can circumvent that by giving the liver lots of enzymes to be able to break down the fats properly. So it doesn't have to throw off all that toxicity into the stomach. So two ways to do it, or you can do both. Eat more honey and cheese.
If you want to make yourself throw up, would you just...
Then just have it's good to throw up. You want to get rid of those poisons quickly, you can do it. But you've lost a lot of butter.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Poor cows worked very hard to make it.
Most of the metals come out of your feet, doesn't it?
What?
When you have metal, coming out, people will notice they'll have pain in their foot.
That doesn't necessarily relate to just metal. Most of the metals are in the brain.
No, I mean, it comes out by your foot if you have foot pain.
No, it can be a lot of different things, not just metal. Okay, you have a question? No, I'm going this way.
It has to do with whether there is such a thing as lactose intolerance. If so, how do you know you have it? And if you do have it on your regular diet, what can you use to replace it?
Okay. Lactose intolerance is too broad a term for people who have allergies to milk. Because it usually is the casein that they're allergic to. But it's because it's cauterized, it's cooked, it's pasteurized. Out of all the people that I've seen, only about 2% of the people have an allergy to milk. And that's because it's cold. They're drinking cold milk. So what happens, they drink the cold milk, the stomach contracts, doesn't secrete the hydrochloric acid. By the time the stomach is relaxed, the milk has moved over into the duodenum and getting into the blood. So the lactate and the casein is not being digested. So they have an allergy to these large molecules that are not digested getting into the blood and the lymph.
One of the 2%, how would you know? And if so, what would you replace in the diet with?
If you start having stomach cramps or nausea, very shortly after drinking it, within 20 minutes. Exhaustion doesn't have anything to do with milk intolerance.
Cramps or what?
You have to have cramps or nausea.
If you do, what would you replace it with?
You don't replace it, you just have your milk warm. It has to be out at least, let's say, 8 to 10 hours for having that. I leave mine out 24 hours minimum. What I do is I take 28 ounces of milk, I'll add 4 tablespoons of cream to it, and 2 tablespoons of honey. And I blend the honey with some milk, and then pour it in there, and then add the cream to it, and I shake it. And this is after the milk hits room temperature. So 5 to 8 hours after it's in the cupboard, in a dark cupboard, keep it out of the light, because the light will turn it bitter.
whether it's unnatural light or natural light. Turn it bitter. So you put it in the cupboard, let it get room temperature, then I add my honey and cream, then I let it sit for 24 to 48 hours till it becomes kefir. And then I put it in the refrigerator. Then you can drink it cold because it's already pre-digested. Casein and lactate's already broken down. Yep. 24 to 48. Until it starts getting thick. Then refrigerate. And it's really tasty.
How long does it keep in the refrigerator?
Pardon?
How long does it keep in the refrigerator then?
I've had it up to 2 weeks in experiments. And it separates, you just shake it.
I had mine similar for a long time on the same subject, and didn't know if it was good or not to drink it, and thought maybe it was, and drank it, and for the first time had really horrible stomach pains.
Yeah.
Just sad.
You had it after doing what?
It was in the fridge for about 2-3 months, not 2 weeks.
What, the kefir or?
Kefir.
Well, that's what I've only taken up to 2 weeks, like I said, so I don't know what would happen to it. Should be okay.
If you take off some of the milk for a bath, then you have to...
Kathy, you're getting into another question?
Oh.
Okay. Do you have a question?
What do you recommend for tinnitus? Tinnitus.
You get a louder bell.
Buzzing in the ear is the onset with Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroiditis, and then a multitude of other things not worth listening.
Usually, I've seen people with tinnitus who have a metal ridge. It takes up a large part of their mouth, cause tinnitus in the ear where the metal is. But most often it's because a lot of metals are detoxing from the brain. So remember, the neurological transmission of light and information is transmitted off of metallic minerals. So most of the minerals heavy metals go to the brain. And because you cooked your food, people have cooked their food, almost all of them are fractionated from their normal combination of nutrients. There's a lot of people like, Sally Fallon and a lot of chemists that say, you've got to release those molecules to be able to utilize them. That is absolute hogwash. They're poisonous once they're isolated. They're not properly utilized. If you've got a mineral, you shouldn't have just H2O connected with it, or let's say a potassium molecule. There should be about 12 to 13 combinations with one molecule of one mineral. There should be a whole unit. Because when they're isolated, they are earth. It is a rock. It is not a complete biological substance. When the brain detoxifies, it detoxifies out the ears, the tear ducts, the sinuses, the gums mainly, mostly is the gums, and the tongue. That's why people get plaque all over their teeth, because the body's dumping all those cauterized minerals out the teeth, out the gums, and they take onto the teeth. If they go out the ears, if the heavier metals go out the ears, they'll cause tinnitus. You've got to eat, berries. It depends on if it's light metals or heavy metals that are causing, it could be iodine. Lots of iodine with a little lead that can cause that kind of ringing. Sometimes you can have mercury combined with aluminum.
Like you say that I weigh every day the albacore sashimi, which I know is supposed to detoxify the mercury.
As long as you're eating it with, raw fat.
I do.
Okay. It'll help, but if you really want to clean it out, you got to have berries, combinations of, raspberries with some dark berries, and coconut cream, a little butter, and a little raw cream and honey. Yeah. And if you can't get them organic in season, you can always get the organic frozen berries for that combination. Okay? And it's not something that goes away easily, because heavy metals, it could take 1,000 fat molecules to get rid of one molecule of mercury. And if you've got ringing, you've got quite a metal buildup there. It's causing you to receive radio waves and other waves that are causing that ringing. So you have to be patient. Do you have a question?
I was thinking about mad cow disease. Do you know anything about what would happen if someone would eat beef that was exposed to mad cow?
I ate mad cow meat from 1993 to 1996. I went to Paris frequently and stayed a month at a time, about 3 months a year. On the last trip, my girlfriend said, if you're not going to marry me, we're over. So we were over. But while I was there, I was eating meat out of Carrefour supermarket. On the flight home, I picked up a magazine and it said Carrefour supermarkets had been selling mad cow meat from England for that entire 3 years that I was eating it. And I wasn't affected. So, you've got to eat the brain and nervous system. And mainly that mad cow disease is coming from dewormers, the chemicals that are put along the spinal cord. On the back of the animal. It's a dewormer. And there's heavy metals and goes in, poisons the spinal cord, goes to the brain, and makes mush of it. So if you're not eating the brain and spinal cord, you're really not going to get any that kind of metal poisoning unless you're getting lots of vaccines. If you're getting lots of vaccines, those could go to the brain and create the melting of the brain, which they would call CJG, which is mad human disease. Okay? So not to worry about. Do you have a question?
Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
If you guys need anything from the van, by the way.
What time is it?
Yes. You did good.
We have 15 more minutes. We start 2 minutes late.
I just have a quick question.
Okay.
Childbirthing. I heard that the Native American Indians believe that when a child is, born, you should keep the umbilical cord attached, and it will automatically stop for the baby. How long does that last? I mean, in terms of the umbilical cord still working once the baby is born. Really?
I delivered 16 kids in my life.
Oh, wonderful. Well, then we will call you.
Three of my own, all at home.
Yeah.
And then I was with my wife for a long time. The second one I delivered by myself because she was late.
So it's true that
she asked me whether I could help her assist in the area when she did more births, and I did that for another 5 years.
Okay. Wow.
The answer is yeah. Each one is different, and the cord will stop pulsing, and you literally can just lightly hold it, and you can feel it when the beat is gone.
Okay.
And that's when you clip it off. And,
okay.
And
is it 10 minutes, 30 minutes? I mean.
Oh, it can go up to 2 days.
We've done, even for me, it was anywhere from a half an hour to 2 hours. But there's no reason why. You just take the baby and put it up onto the mother's chest.
I heard you nurse it immediately and it soothes the baby.
A lot of times the baby won't nurse.
Oh, okay.
They don't know about the breast yet. They just want to be close to the heartbeat where they were inside in the warmth.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's why I suggest people have babies in warm water.
That's what that totally seems so natural to me to do it that way.
And the women lately who've been on the diet who've had babies have had babies with only 2 contractions.
Oh, really? Wow.
2 contractions. The last 5 that were born,
I was wondering
2
about
contractions.
that. Oh,
man. 2 contractions. That's it. They crown with the first contraction and pass it out in the second contraction.
Is it because we're...
Yes, you better.
Because of being on a cooked diet, it's all the body of the woman always tight and hard.
Muscles don't work properly.
Okay. Yeah.
And all of the children, all of those 5 children were able to hold their head up at birth.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my. Hold their own head up by birth.
I have one more question. I heard after the birth, in the hospital.
Well, let me explain this.
Oh, sorry.
The placenta is the baby's liver until it starts eating. So the placenta can live 2 days if the mother doesn't have any milk. You just have to keep that placenta warm, if it drops out of the uterus. Okay. Usually if the mother's not producing milk, the placenta will stay attached and won't let go until the mother starts producing her milk. That's with some of the natives.
That we'd come across is, in most cases, and I wasn't in the raw diet in those days, and placenta was the big issue, was when that was going to release and on its own come out. And, you saw doctors and whatnot, like trying to
scraping it,
pulling it on it and stuff, and it was like, it drove you nuts. In most cases, a couple of 3 or 4 hours in most cases. With most of the women that I helped birth were, the placenta came out within, 2, 3, 4 hours, and it came out naturally, just disattached and came out.
Okay.
So, in most animals, in the apes, it's usually out in 2 hours.
Okay.
And then the female eats it.
Okay. My other question was going to ask.
So you got to eat it.
Still on the same subject, but that when a baby's born too, that the Native American Indians used to rub in, like the afterbirth, would rub it into the baby's skin because it's actually the moisture, whereas in the hospital, where they immediately wash it off, and that's why a lot of the infants get the chapped, flaky skin. You rub it in, and so
they're actually starting
it's
to
already
do that
in their tissue.
some hospitals.
It's already in the tissues.
Midwives.
They've been soaking in that for almost 10 months.
Right. Okay.
So it's in their skin, but they'll usually use an antiseptic and a detergent to wash the baby.
Oh my God.
I did everything I did was a home birth. In many cases, the skin would start to shrivel, because they'd go wash the baby off. And you did learn that if you didn't wash the baby off, it most of the time didn't happen to that intense degree where, it's just like scary. But that also goes away fairly shortly after. A day or two, that doesn't last long.
Okay.
So.
Very cool.
Are you pregnant?
No, but we've just been fascinated by this. Well, actually, we will in a year, hopefully. But a friend of ours had birth through a midwife, and it's interesting that she had their first child in the hospital, and she tore, and Benjamin was actually maybe 6 pounds, so he was smaller. She just had a midwife, and she had a baby about a week ago, and this baby was larger by 2 pounds. She didn't tear, and it was a midwife, and she said the pregnancy was so much smoother. And she said it was great. And I was
she's been on a similar diet.
Yeah,
she's 80% of the diet since the last kid too. So she was,
but I think
put on weight. She
did the position where I think like you squat. I think you grab your knees, and she said it was so much smoother. Than I was like, wow, I'm making notes on that one. I'm like,
and you don't have to worry about the baby drowning. The baby will not breathe until it's off that placenta.
Yeah.
So if the baby comes out in the water, you don't have to rush to keep it from drowning. It can stay in there for 2 hours until the placenta drops.
Yeah.
The baby will not start breathing unless you smack it or the placenta drops.
It's already got scooped.
And you can smother. You could smother an infant, and you will not smother it. You could smother it, keep it from breathing after it breathes. For 5 minutes, take your hand off and it'll start breathing. It's used to not breathing its whole life. And it can go back into that very readily. Yes?
Food to increase memory capacity.
Correct. The foods that will, usually fish and chicken together or fish and beef together. And if you combine eggs with that, make it a 3 process, you have the complete proteins that help the synapse, the axons, and ganglia reaction. Fish, chicken, and eggs, or fish, beef, and eggs. Yes.
Are the women 100% on your diet, the ones that had infection? What?
One of them's probably 99%, and the other's 96%.
Who's that? For what?
That had the baby.
Oh, okay.
With only 2 contractions. Let me get her question.
I want to know because I have a side pain in the foot right here. It comes and goes. It's like a bee sting.
Feels like a bee sting. Burns?
Yeah. Not burns, but like a sharp goes in and out like a knife.
Stabs?
Yes.
Sharp stabbing or dull?
Sharp stabs. I want to know what
sharp stabs. That sounds like crystals.
Yeah.
Crystals.
Crystally from what? Crystal.
Some kind of margarine, vegetable oil, crystallized in your foot. So just put some coconut cream on your foot, some coconut oil, and let it help dissolve it from the outside in.
Twice a day?
You can do it twice a day. It does take a long time to dissolve. That question?
can't stop food going up issues for raw food diet. Where that doesn't get green juice, won't get green juice, and also won't take any old.
They shouldn't be drinking green
And
juice.
Okay, and won't.
If they want, they'll go out and eat some grass and get the chlorophyll.
Okay, but won't eat any old meat. It's very particular.
Cats usually won't eat old meat. Only dogs and vultures and the other. Cats like fresh meat. Normally.
Dandruff.
Dandruff?
His fur is really soft, but he's full of dandruff.
Then he's just got a lot of toxins coming out to the skin. You have to understand, cats and dogs do not perspire except through their noses, mouth, and asshole. Anus. It's the only place they perspire. So when they throw toxins off, they're not broken down. So it goes into the skin, gets built into the skin, dries out the skin, and flakes. And that kind of dandruff is the dandruff that causes so many allergies in people. It's just years that you're going to have to feed her properly, or him or her properly, until she's not throwing off all those heavy metals out the skin. It causes dandruff. Yes.
What would the idea of that choose? Okay, if you have to go, like, you want to try to buy a meat that's all broken. So we don't want to eat that like it's grass fed, or you go to Costco and buy, and you can't get it in the feed. You go to Costco and start getting it in the feed.
Well, you need to find somebody else who's going to ship it to you that's not frozen. Well, like that list, I've got lots of Amish farmers there that sell the meat, and they'll send it to you non-frozen. Well, in the animals, in the dogs and cats that I fed, exclusively the frozen meat, and the group that I fed, the same meat, non-frozen, all of the ones that ate it frozen either developed scurvy or the mange. So, if it does that in an animal that's closer to nature than we are, you can imagine what it does to us. It's not a good thing. And some people, like Mark McAfee with Organic Pasture, says it's okay to freeze butter. Well, in the animals that I took and put them on butter to see how much butter it would take to reverse those, the scurvy and other skin diseases from the frozen meat, on the frozen butter took 3 times longer for those to heal that were eating the frozen butter than the raw butter. Yeah, he freezes it unless you tell him not to. Yep. Oh, no. If he's mailing it to you, it's frozen, unless you ask him not to.
Hopefully freezes there.
No.
Okay.
No, they shouldn't.
No, I'm saying I'm asking you.
Oh, no. No.
Because Aajonus is touching upon the subject, and that is Organic Pastures. Mark McAfee himself
is unethical.
It is unethical, is not to be trusted. It doesn't mean that most of the time it's fresh. It means that for him, it all has to do with the almighty dollar and money. So whatever the case is on what he's doing, I was with him. I'm the man that convinced this man to go raw 4 years ago, almost exactly at this time frame. And what I learned from my 4 years dealing with him, I'm no longer his distributor. I'm out of the distribution business. I dealt with 2 dairies, and both the owners of those dairies were just bizarre. It's all about money and unethical behavior. To give you the example, when I decided, Mark pushed me out of business. My contract was not up until this coming November. And he actually went off to be with another distributor without my permission. And I could sue him for that, but I didn't. I still want my $52,000 back that he owes me. But in the process of that happening, he came down to my office and spoke with Josh and Sean and I in the middle of June. This is after I was no longer the distributor and after I was still trying to help him. What he said to us in the office, which will surprise all of you guys, is that he said that he had not been organic recently all the time, that he was feeding his cows commercial alfalfa, and that he didn't want to be organic anymore because he was trying to raise money for this private placement, and it was going to be too difficult to prove to this entity that he was going public that he could do this all the time, which means to say what he's really saying is that he hadn't been organic most of this time as well because he'd be buying commercial stuff. What I
You're
said to
feeding them cooked grain too.
What I said to him in front of Josh and Sean, because they didn't want to speak up, as I said, oh, and he said on top of this, he says, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the name Organic Pastures and just take off below where it says Certified Organic Milk. And I looked over at Mark and I said, are you out of your fucking mind? I said, that is deception. Because what you're going to do, if you call yourself Organic Pastures and you don't have organic milk, everybody's going to assume because the name says organic that you're going to be organic. And he said, I don't care. That's who we're dealing with. And I'm so glad I don't have anything to do with it anymore.
And I stopped buying his products 2 months ago.
And that's the reason why I now have the Amish product, because the Amish milk is amazing. He is 100% organic all year long.
And they grow their own feed.
Yeah. And he cuts all of his silage in the middle of October and November, throws it into these 3 huge barns he has. He only has 40 cows. He doesn't have 400. And they eat all that green. Yes, he says the milk and the butter from November, December, January gets lighter and lighter in color as the green disappears from the silage that he has in the barn. But at least it's still 100% organic. Yeah. And his milk is, if you guys tasted his product, it's amazing. So I finally figured out a way to truck it here, because you can't fly milk here. The shipping is $2 a pound, and milk, since it weighs 8 pounds, would be $16 for the shipping plus the milk. So I found a way to ship it here in 2.5 days at the same time frame I could get it from Fresno. So now we're getting, from 3,000 miles away, we're getting Amish products that are completely fresh. And I'm selling them for about a quarter to 50 cents more than OPD. So
in this family, most of these Amish are 6th and 7th generation farmers in this country.
Yeah.
There's no way to extend those hours?
You mean as far as coming over there?
Oh, yeah, because I mean, like Wednesdays are difficult and Saturdays are
for me, if you guys wanted to come up with if there's some way to do it on another day for just a 2-hour period of time, I don't care if it's at night. I only live 2 minutes from there. So, I just don't want to be sitting there all day long. But, there's been a number of people recently. I would do that on
Wednesday night, Thursday night. 7, 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock. We're open until 8 at night, so people can either make it on the Wednesday or Saturday. But if there's a day that works better, and I can figure out when it would work better for 1 2-hour period, 10 o'clock at night or 8 in the morning or whatever it is, we'll have to work that out. But Wednesday and Saturday, the 2 days I want to do, it's hard enough to run it, believe it or not, just those 2 days. It really is. Yeah. Bryn now works there. I just have to let you know, the famous comment from anybody, our customers who have become people that work there, their first comment after a week or two is, oh my God, I didn't realize how much work it takes to put all this together. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's a lot of work.
And usually we're not even
like
finished
screening
at
it 1 minute to noon. Okay, everybody ready? Wow. Okay. It takes a lot of work.
Okay, this is going to be the last question, and we're breaking it up.
If the pains like I'm having, like caffeine or food, is crystals, and apparently its inability to process uric acid, wouldn't even raw meat be increasing the uric acid? It wouldn't.
No. And if you don't digest the meat or you cook it, are you partially cooking your meat?
No.
Okay, don't worry about it. You don't get any added uric acid from raw meat. It's only excessive uric acid from eating cooked meat. No excessive uric acid from raw meat.
How do you determine exactly what, we're just on the grill. You can't possibly sear meat on a barbecue pan using 400 degrees. He's cheating, and I want you to tell him.
Part of it's going to, maybe a third of it's going to be toxic.
So
and 2/3 won't be. So you're going to use a third of the 2/3 that's non-toxic to negate the toxicity from the third that is, so you're going to have a third of it that's good.
But technically you should be on the pan, right?
You shouldn't be cooking it at all.
Well, yeah, I know.
But I would say,
I'm cooking my meat.
I would say barbecued is better than pan fried.
Oh, really?
Frying is the worst thing you can do. It keeps turning over the heat of the fat molecules, reburning them and reburning them.
over the fire, it's dripping. You're losing it, but you're not going to eat the recooked and recooked fat molecules. Right? But as long as you're not putting, any kind of lighter fluid on your charcoal.
Charcoal.
That is awful.
I don't know if that's a problem.
What are you using? Propane? Quite a bit of toxicity in the gas.
Sure.
It's like any kind of gas,
Even natural gas?
Natural gas is different. Natural gas doesn't have that kind of toxicity.
I've got it, I can convert over to natural gas.
Do that. Better. Okay, folks, thank you.
Okay, yeah. I felt sorry for you if you can't afford a full shirt.
You're welcome. I would appreciate it if everybody could take one chair.